investment company in partnership with your number one talk station, Nigeria Info. And like every week we discuss all that happens within the power sector. And this week we have an interesting topic. It's too bad we need to move really quickly because of time. But anyways, I have two gentlemen in the studio who are going to be discussing with me a very interesting topic today. And this topic is up because we want to see a lot of businesses who are using alternative power solutions, who are able to maximize profit because they can solve their power problem. So today we are discussing the topic financing clean and low cost electricity for industry and commerce. So if you run maybe an SME or maybe you run any of the C&I companies, I mean a factory, this supermarket, chains of supermarket stores, we know power is your biggest problem. So, but how do we help you solve this problem? Is solar an option for you? Okay, we'll discuss that shortly with my guest in the studio. I have Robo, Mr. Robo, country manager, Empower New Energy, and Mr. Solomon, project manager, Empower New Energy in the studio. Welcome, gentlemen, to the show.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, let's try that again.
Good morning, Wisdom.
God, I can hear you now. Solomon,
good morning,
Robo,
Wisdom.
I hear you. Okay, no time, but I still like to touch base to let my audience know who is in the studio with me. So let's quickly get to know you better. I'll start from you, Robo, country manager, Empower New Energy. Tell us briefly. We know cumulatively you have spent at least 20 years within the sector. Climate finance, renewable energy, I mean, all of that. How did this career journey start for you? I mean, in 1 minute, tell us.
Yeah, so thank you. It's really great to be here. My name is Robo Igbu, as you've said, and I actually started this journey in climate finance in 2016.
Okay.
When I got into managing a program, in an international DFI on solar, market development, and finance. And after then, I worked briefly as an independent consultant.
Okay.
Before I got into Empower New Energy as the country manager. But I've had a lot of experience in other sectors of the economy, from banking to FMCG to startups, and all of that.
So I have the right man in the studio to discuss financing, off-grid and all these alternative solutions. So that's good. Solomon, welcome to the show. Good we're able to meet in person now, finally.
Finally.
Yeah. You have also had like a robust professional career in this sector. I mean, especially around project management.
Yeah.
How did this start for you, really?
Okay. I had my first degree in mechanical engineering. So I'm actually a practicing engineer.
Okay.
But very few years back, I was on the IHS project that rolled out solar hybrid solutions for telecom base stations in Nigeria. So that really just started the journey into clean energy, and I've really been in the sector, moving from roles around from the technical bits to EPC bits, and now managing project across West Africa.
I see you moving around Nigeria, Ghana.
Oh yeah, so I cover the entire West African region for Empower New Energy, developing projects.
Yeah, that's a big portfolio. Like they say in Nigeria, cut soap, give us. All right, so we're moving straight into this topic. Again, I said because of time, we have to move really fast. But Lagos, what we are discussing today is financing clean and low-cost electricity for industry and commerce. What we're trying to say is, how do we finance projects that will help businesses make an alternative switch? And reduce the cost of their power. So, but before I go into this, Robo, Empower New Energy. People will say they are a new company in this sector. I mean, many people don't know much. Tell us briefly, what do you do? Are you an investor? Are you a developer? I mean, are you just a financing company? What do you really do?
So, Empire, New Energy has a very interesting story, right?
Okay.
It was founded 6-7 years ago by Tari Alexander Asuzi. He's a Norwegian, impact, investor. But, they've worked in the energy space, across Africa, globally, developing very large projects. And they saw this gap that a lot of, projects, they are not, being funded, particularly, in the mid, sector between like 1 megawatt, 5 megawatts, and all that. So because of that, pain that they see, project developers not able to fund their projects. That's when the Empower New Energy was founded.
Okay.
So for us, basically, the focus is funding projects. We are financiers. We finance particularly solar projects, and we also are co-developers. So we also work closely with developers to help them get their projects ready for investment. And why we not provide equity to fund the project 100%.
Okay, so in a nutshell, Empower New Energy is like an investor.
Yeah, we're investors. So we invest in the solar assets.
Oh, okay, all right. Quickly, that's nice to know. I mean, it's good to know that a lot of investors are coming into the space. I mean, this sector is so nascent that a couple of years back, I mean, the kind of millions that we hear being invested, in the sector these days would have been hard to sort of get. But just to move now, Solomon, back to you. I mean, the mission of the company, as I was reading before the show, is to bridge the financing gap that currently impedes the development of renewable energy in developing countries. Now, my question quickly to you is, how exactly is your company trying to bridge this? And what are those things you identified that are impeding the sector?
Yeah, just like Robo had mentioned in the submission earlier, one of the biggest gaps for project development or for solar to really penetrate in the market is the upfront cost. And then you see a lot of projects get stalled because there's no reliable financing that comes in. That is where Empower New Energy steps in. We bring in funding that helps unlock those projects and funding that is backed by some of the world's biggest DFIs. And we then deploy that to ensure that this project not only gets ideated, but we can see them deployed in commission in real time, which is what we've done. And we operate across several countries in Africa, basically. And we've done this across different regimes. And in Nigeria, we've already deployed a number of projects already operating assets. And we have a few more in the pipeline that we are developing. And we've tested the market and we've seen that the sweet spot of financing is where a lot of developers struggle. So we work with them, bring in the financing, and then we co-develop with them to ensure that this project get deployed, and then off-takers can enjoy lower cost of energy.
Do you have plans to fund like mini-grid projects?
For mini-grid projects, yes, we have a very unique plan for participating in the rural electrification space. Typically, we work directly with developers or one off-taker. We don't do community deployments or community operations. We are not set up for that. So we work with developers. If developers have this kind of mini-grid project, we're able to work with them to see how we can bring in our financing in a way that they can pull together their pipeline, and then we can see how we can deploy as our financing to that.
Interesting. Lovely. I love that. Lagos, if you're just joining the conversation, my name is Wisdom Chapp-Jumbo, and this is Power Solutions. Power Solutions is powered by All On Energy Impact Investment Company in partnership with your number one talk station, Nigeria Info. And we're discussing financing clean and low-cost electricity for industry and commerce. And I have two gentlemen in the studio who have been doing amazing work with this conversation, and they are both from Empower New Energy, an investor in this sector who is working to close this gap we see in the sector. So now, just to come to you, Robo, and my next question goes to what really caught our eyes recently in this space is your investment or your new deal. You signed a 6.5 million naira solar energy deal. You signed with a leading one-stop retail supermarket in Nigeria, Justrite, just to help them install solar power at 10 of its stores across the country. Give us a background to this deal, and you're financing this. Why? Give us some background to this deal.
Thanks for that question. So we all know, Justrite is a household name, particularly in southwestern, Nigeria. Right. So and they have over 17, 18 stores.
Oh, really?
Across southwest Nigeria, particularly in the Lagos area. And one of their major highest cost, operating cost is energy.
Energy,
which is typical of Nigerian businesses. Where you see businesses spending 30 to 40%, to basically.
It's crazy out there. It's really crazy.
So and just last year, their energy cost increased, close to 500%. Right. And of course, no business can survive, with that kind of increase.
Some business go beyond 500. Percent. It's crazy.
This is typical. So basically, Justrite has been looking for a solution to say, look, we need to find a solution that will give us some kind of stability in our energy cost. And they approached us, with the project developer, and the EPC power cell, and we looked at the project. Very interesting. The solar PV component is like 400 to 500, kilowatts, per store. While the storage is around, 600, to 100 kilowatt hours, per store.
Okay.
Right. And what we now saw, look, this is a company that is doing very well and has a lot of potentials, but it's been, overwhelmed, with the energy costs. So our solution basically is to provide funding. 100% funding for the energy component. So we're going to fund the solar PV, fund the storage, and they pay over a 15-year period. So we have like a 15-year power sales agreement with them, and they pay for the energy consumed over the 15-year period.
Over 15 years.
Yes.
I mean, that is really good. And just for someone listening now, how will Empower benefit? How will you recoup your money in this investment over this 15-year period? Just thinking like a layman person who is listening now. How is this 15-year period good for you for this investment?
So typically we prefer actually long-term, contracts.
Why?
Because long-term, it is cheaper for the off-taker, for the customer, right? And also better for us. Because again, remember, we are a climate fund, right? And our focus really is to provide solutions in terms of the energy transition, climate, finance, and our investors, they want us to do that over a long period of time. So we're focused on long-term investment. So basically, how do we make our money, right? So we invest in this project and they pay us for the energy consumed over the 15 years. So in that 15 years, we're able to recoup our investment, and we now pass it on to the off-taker at $1, right? Basically, they own the project, after that.
After
15 years.
After that 15 years. Beautiful. Solomon, coming back to you now, my next question is, Justrite has been able to achieve this. Yeah. Just making some findings before the show today. I understand, they had some investment from AfriNet and all of that. A lot of businesses would like to have this option. Yeah. And like you said before, the upfront costs is what is the problem. How do we make this easier for other businesses, and CNIs who, just like Justrite, want to also make the switch?
Yeah. Thank you for that. I think one of our biggest strategies is to work with developers, EPC partners in country that may have already proposed or reached out to some of these off-takers to see how we can collaboratively deploy solutions to them that can help them achieve what Justrite has done. So we are looking to scale up our investments in Nigeria over the next few years, aggressively. So we are really open to speaking to off-takers, commercial and industrial concerns that may be interested in this kind of solar solutions or solar hybrid solutions. And we work with the developers and co-develop this solution in such a way that they generate or get the maximum benefit that required from them. And we see a future where this becomes the standard for CNI businesses across Nigeria and across the region.
But is the focus just on CNI? How can SMEs benefit? Or what any plan by Empower to focus on SMEs in the long run?
For us at Empower, we have some sort of minimum investment criteria, which can then become quite significant. But at levels similar to Justrite, if these SMEs have possibly large demand or large energy costs, or multiple stores that can be connected, or like just the Justrite where we have 10 stores together. This is something we can look at increasingly for us.
All right, Lagos, because of time, we're really moving really fast. We really apologize for moving so fast. We like to have more engagement from you just to make sure we are, I know there are usually a lot of questions from you on how you can benefit from things like this. And that's why we have the show. But just before we go, Robo, just to ask you quickly, are there projects the company is working on aside this new deal from Justrite that you would like to share in just 30 seconds?
So we have quite a lot of pipeline. We are, across, Africa, we have over 100 megawatts of pipeline. In Nigeria, we have, over, 20 megawatts. And in fact, we have a target, right? Our target this year is actually to deploy, 20, 30 megawatts, in Nigeria. Right? So there are a lot of other companies we're talking to. Of course, because of ND, ND, I cannot really mention their name.
That's a good place to leave it.
Projects, that we are working on.
All right, I've been speaking to Robo Igbu, who is a country manager, Empower New Energy, and Solomon,
Ojoawo.
Who is project manager, Empower New Energy. And we've been discussing financing clean and low cost electricity. If you want to catch a rebroadcast of this, you can just go on our YouTube channel, All On Energy, to catch this broadcast again in case you want to watch it. This is Power Solutions. My name is Wisdom Chapp-Jumbo, and again, every week on Mondays around 11:30, we bring you these conversations on Power Solutions. How do we help Nigerians make the switch? Do you have light? How are you solving your power problem? How is your business faring with all the power troubles we have in the country? Join the show every Monday, 11:30, and my name is Wisdom once again, and I'll be here next week.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.